YouTube? Welcome back. We are back and ready for some more Hearthstone. If you like these videos, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it. Alright, so today we are going to be talking about, as the title suggests, things that, a bunch of cards that would go great with what's it called? Who's it called? What's his name? Who's his name? Actually, it's not a him, it is a quest. The best cards you can play this meta to go with Corrupt the Waters. Now this is in case you have Corrupt the Waters, but if you don't have it, then it's only a tier 2 quest. It's only a tier 2 quest. Like, you don't have to get this if you want to. Like, I would get this if I had already gotten all the tier 1 items, but that's because I've gotten a little wiser since I have been playing Hearthstone and crafting cards. Okay, so the cards that would go great with Corrupt the Waters, we would get a card like Blazing Invocation. Now a card like Blazing Invocation would give you all the flexibility you would need to get any battlecry minion you want. So you have the flexibility. If you need a Ziliax, you could get a... No, you can't get Ziliax. I'm sorry. Forget I said that. If you need to get a let's say you need to restore health with one minion, or you need to summon Murlocs, or you need to pull up some taunt minions, or even if you want to deal damage to the enemy's board, or even to go for the enemy's face. You want to go with Blazing Invocation because you can find the cards you need in whatever situation arises. So yeah, I would go with that. And the next card would be Crystallizer, because it is very unique, and with Corrupt the Waters, you want to get as many battlecry minions on the board as possible. And with Crystallizer, it not only deals 5, not only gives you 5 damage, but it gives you 5+ health, as says in the description. It gives you a battle cry, so it helps trigger the quest. I would not trigger it I would not look forward to it after you play the quest, because it would just, the effect would cancel itself out if you played it twice. But what I would do is I would pair this card with cards that would heal my face, like maybe a heal bot or a mosquito, something that, just cards that will restore your health. Potion vendor, yeah. So yeah, that's why I would put Crystallizer with Corrupt the Waters. And then I would have another card I could pair with it would be Faithful Lumai, with giving it mech 1+1+. Now I imagine you're going, wait a minute, a mech? Seriously? Why would you put mechs with this guy? Well, if you look back in time, you would see that mechs were a big thing. You could, there were plenty of cheap mechs back in the day where you could pair it with other minions. You could get a bunch of 1+1+ mechs. You get a lot of mechs on the board. You get big mechs on the board. And with Magnetic in recent, you can get even more. It could go great with Ziliax and other cards like it. So yeah, that's why I would put Faithful Lumai there. Then we have Hungry Crab. Now this is a bit of a questionable choice if you do not have it with Murlocs, because then it's not going to get buffed very well unless the opponent is playing a Murloc deck, and what are the chances of that being a thing? Like, no. Unless you were playing in a tournament where there were a bunch of people there who like to play Murlocs, Hungry Crab would only be best in a Murloc deck, but let me tell you, Murloc decks do work. And if you should have a Murloc deck, I recommend you get the other Shaman quest too, if you don't already have it. I don't remember what it's called, but it gives you Megafin, which fills your hand with Murlocs. So you tell me how amazing a Murloc deck can be with Corrupt the Waters. Next up we have Sludge Slurper. Now this is a versatile card. You could put this in a Murloc deck, as I was obviously saying, or you could put it in a different kind of deck, a Lackey deck. Or, since it has Overload, you could have cards that overload in your hand that also have battle cries, which would make it good for so many things. It could go well with Witch's Apprentice here, and you could be off sailing, man. You could be doing a lot of great things. And speaking of, if you do want to put a Witch's Apprentice in there, you could have a Battlecry deck that is totally just spells. And if you play your deck right, you could play your hero power and a spell, and you could pair it off with some cards to have a deck in Wild that would go great with another Battlecry minion, Yogg-Saron. And all hail Yogg-Saron, man. Like, anyone who remembers that beast, oh. And you could potentially set off his battle cry twice if you can bring him down to 0 with Emperor Thaurissan or other cards. So yeah, I would totally recommend putting a Witch's Apprentice in there. Next we have Bloodsail Raider. It would go great. It would be amazing if you put it with some pirates, because pirate equals aggro, and aggro equals in your face. Yeah, like you could pair this off with other pirates, and you could get just a lot of damage going. You could get big pirates, you could get mini pirates. It just depends, man. In the right setting, you could do a lot with Bloodsail Raider. And if you didn't want to do a pirate deck, which is fine, you could also do a weapons deck. And later on in this video, I will show you weapons that I own that you can put in this deck. And I'll mention some others too. Okay. Next is Evil Totem. Like I said earlier, lackeys. Lackeys will kick butt and take names. You definitely don't want to mess with early game lackeys, because if you do get a lot of lackeys on board, you'll get the quest like that. Like that. The more lackeys, the better, if you plan on doing a lackey deck. Next we have Fire Tree Witch Doctor. Number one, it goes great with spells, so Yogg-Saron, that thing again. It also goes great if you got dragons. You could put it with Ysera, you could put it with Alexstrasza, you could put it with, what's his name? What is his name? Nefarian? Just to name off a few. I know those are like in standard and off standard, but like, you could do a lot with that flexible card. Plus, if you just need it to set off the quest, it is a very cheap 2-mana card, and you'll be flying forward, man. All right, next up we have Menacing Nimbus, and that battle cry is to add another elemental in your hand. So you could have a complete elemental deck, and you know with elementals things can get crazy. You could get Ozrook up in there, put a Thaurissan in there, have it hit Ozrook once, and you could have a deck that goes from having a small Ozrook, which is like 5 or 10 health, to 20 Ozrock, and if you get a big one, you could get into the 50s or the 100, or even go up to maybe 100 maybe. Now I'm talking theory here. This is theory craft I'm going into now, but like, you could seriously get some major stuff done if you do it. So I would recommend Fire Menacing Nimbus and an elemental deck. Speaking of elementals, we got a Sandstorm elemental. Now this is not only an elemental, and it can go in elemental decks, but it can also go into control decks. So if you want to control a board, you could pair this card with Hagatha's Scheme. You could pair it with Volcano. You could pair it with other cards that deal damage to minions. It could go great if you have an OTK deck. Control is great if you got an OTK deck, or if you just want to get your minions or your spells hit the opponent's face. So if you want to do that, you could also throw in a Malygos, get really crazy, have your completely rely on your spells to deal damage to face, which means you could pair that off with Overload, and have Overload based deck, which, by the way, this does have Overload on it. So the options with a deck with Sandstorm Elemental and Corrupt the Waters, it's good. It's good. Alright, next one we have Underbelly Angler. So if you remember earlier, I was talking about Murlocs, and Murlocs can really kick butt. And just think, every time you play a Murloc, you add a Murloc to your hand, which means there are plenty of Murlocs out there that can add more to your deck. And there are Murlocs like the Cold Light Angler, that if you play a Murloc, if you play it, you get more. You could get, there's a 3/2 Murloc that adds a Murloc to each player's hand. If we go into Wild, there's a Murloc that draws more cards. So if you desperately need cards in hand, you could play that and not even mind if the opponent destroys the Underbelly Angler, and you could be set, man. You could be set. Okay, now the next one, there's Water Boy. Your next hero power this turn costs 0. Now wait a minute, John, as you would say. That seems redundant. Like, why would I put 2 mana on the board just to put a quest forward? And that's fine. But not only is it a cheap card that puts a quest forward, it's a fair criticism, it's a fair comment, but if you do that, then you could have a free totem on the board, which is pretty nice. Lets you add more to the board, which lets you set up for maybe a Bloodlust or something like that. You could also get after the quest, you could also get a free hero power, And yeah, you could do a lot with that. If you have Tharasan in hand, you could reduce the cost of that minion to 1 or even 0 and make your hero power even cheaper or free. You could have cards in wild mode, you could have cards in hand or deck that can make your hero power completely free until the next time you use it. Until after the next time you use it, sorry. And then you will be golden. Like, you could set off the hero power whenever you want, and you could get a bunch of free stuff. You could get a free Yogg, a free double Yogg, you get a free double Shutterwalk, a free double you name it. A free double Cthulhu or Enzoth, which Cthulhu goes great with this, by the way. I have a Cthulhu deck, and it works. It works pretty well in Wild. So if you wanna do stuff like that, go right ahead. Oh yeah, it also works great with Jades. You should get Jades. If you got Jades, you should pair it with this quest. You'll get pretty decently far. Okay, and now we have Youthful Brewmaster. Now Youthful Brewmaster is very good. It can I don't need to tell you why it's so good. The battle cry is returning a minion from the battlefield to your hand. And this is another versatile card. It works great with Murlocs, it works great with Lackeys, it works great with any card you have. It just works, man. It just works. And you should totally get that in your deck if you want to get something great. Now, of course, there is Zephyrus the Great, if we want to be talking about great stuff. Anyways, so with Zephyrus, I don't need to tell you why this card is so good. You could wish for the perfect card, and this card isn't perfect, but the developers are aiming to increase the intelligence of this card, so there will be more control, or you could get the final kill, or you could just completely win. Like, you could get Bloodlust on the board, you could get Swipe, you could get whatever card you need, and you'll be set, you'll be lit. You will just be going and winning. And that's where you want to be. Now the next card we have is Bog Slosher. Now that's the same as Brewmaster, but it adds value to it. This is a card I would want to get for... I could use it in the beginning, sure, but later game, that's even better because it makes sure you return it to him once, but you add value to it twice. Instead of 2+2, put in the hero power, it's 4x4. So you think about that when you're playing when you're getting a Lackey and you want a 5/5, and you get a 5/5, or a Murloc and you get something big, or Megafin. Try Megafin on for size, and a 12/12 Murloc that fills your hand with Murlocs. You do not want to mess with that, man. For real. And not only that, but it has an elemental on it. And we all know how good elemental is. We all know. I talked a big game about elementals earlier. And so if you want to get a good elemental deck going, you should totally include Bog Slosher to go with the quest. Because then you will be popping. You'll be popping, man. Alright, and speaking of lackeys again, Weaponized Wasp is great because, again, it's cheap. You can keep it in your hand for a future. For if you got lackeys coming. And if you got a lackey, you can deal 3 damage. Not 3 damage to a minion, not just 3 damage to face, but 3 damage. So you can deal it to anyone you want. If it's better for you to hit face, in case you need to hit face for some reason, like you get a spell that requires you to have your health low for some reason because of getting Zephyrus or whatever have you. Weaponized Wasp will will really make things interesting for you. And if you pair it with a hero power, then you'll deal 6 damage, which is a 3 mana deal 6 damage to anything is... I don't need to tell you how good that is. That is lit. Of course, all you need is a lackey, but if you don't have a lackey though, it can help you set off the quest. Then we have Ancient Brewmaster. Again, same as Bog and Youthful Brewmaster. It's just bigger and it's got better stats on it. So yeah, don't need to talk too much about that. Then there's Splitting Axe. Now, this could be good for a lackey deck if you want. Just have more evil totems on the board, giving you more lackeys, and then you double those totems, and then you get even more lackeys, which is great, especially when you don't have that much draw. Which why you wouldn't, I have no idea. But hey, to each his own, right? Oh yeah, by the way, another card I forgot to add in this deck is... Before I go there though, it's a cliffhanger. Anyways, so if you play this and pair it with your hero power, you'll get triple the. You will get triple, or you'll get. No, not a triple. You will double and then stack another double. So it'll be from 2. So like you get 1 evil totem, then you get 2, and then you get 4 on the board. You tell me how good that is. Especially when you have an empty hand. And a lot of lackeys you want to play. But even if you don't, like you could just do it with a bunch of regular totems that you might have extras of, and you could just go all in with a Bloodlust, and hey, you'll be popping. Now we have Storm Chaser. Draw a spell from your deck that costs 5 or more. Now I don't need to tell you how good this can be, because there are 2 5-mana spells that are amazing. And that is, like I said before, actually there's 3. There's Bloodlust, there is Hagatha's Scheme, and there's Volcano. So if you want to get any of those in your hand right away, you need Storm Chaser. Alright? And if you want to double up, then wait till after the quest is complete and you can double up easy on whatever spell you might need. And if you don't double up, then this will help you complete the quest, obviously. Now, of course, we got Windspeaker here. Now, this is good because, again, Bloodlust goes well with Bog, goes well with Zephyrus, goes well with pretty much any minion that you can buff, if this is a buff kind of deck. And if you're playing lackeys, some lackeys do buff your minions, like the Titanic Totem. Murlocs, you could do it against Megafin, you could do it against a Murloc with Poisonous, you could do it against, you could pair it with a, not Reno, Leroy Jenkins! Sorry, I have to do that to remember it. You can pair it with Leroy to really kill your opponent if you got 10 mana and your opponent's low and you really need to get in that final hit. Windspeaker Leroy is the way to go, man. It is the way to go. And like I said earlier, Bloodlust works like a charm. And of course, Doomhammer. Doomhammer is a card that will work great with that card I mentioned earlier. It's here somewhere, Bloodsail Raider. You could pair it with another card to help you control the board. It is in my collection somewhere. Give me a moment. Rockbiter weapon. Rockbiter weapon will work great with Doomhammer. You can just do a lot, man. And you could also pair this off with other cards that control, like those other two 5-mana spells I keep mentioning. The Volcano and, yeah, the Volcano and Hagatha's Scheme. So many control cards you could use, and Fire Elemental is good if you got big minions on the board. If you want to decide, hey, I want to do big minions for the quest, which is okay. I recommend doing smaller minions because then you get more battle cries out. But if you want to get big minions that, if you want to play it sort of like tempo but you want control, Fire Elemental is great. It also works great with elemental decks, so yeah. Whew. Almost done, guys. And then we get Swamp Queen Hagatha. Yes. Now this card is not very great for completing the quest, because the quest should already be complete by the time you get to Swamp Queen. But if it's turn 9 and you can afford the time, you could get a hero power going up and get 2 horrors to your hand. And when you add those horrors to your hand, you could have them play whatever spells you chose them to play to twice, which means a Bloodlust and a spell damage to face, or Hagatha's Scheme. It could be a board clear spell, damage face spell, damage anything spell, damage everything spell, heal spell. Like, the possibilities, the RNG, it's endless. You can do so much with Swamp Queen Hagatha. And if you can return it to your hand, man, you'll be set. But if you don't want to return it to your hand, you could throw in some, God, what is it called? You could evolve it into a minion that is even better. An 8 mana minion, to a 9 mana, to a 10 mana. And God knows what you could get with all of that. But you could get some really amazing stuff. Like, Swamp Queen Hagatha is a must if you want to get an amazing late game advantage. Like, it is a must no matter what. I will add this. I would add this in a heartbeat if I feel like a deck's missing something. If a deck's missing something, it is Swamp Queen Hagatha. And whew, now we have Walking Fountain. Now this is an elemental that has Lifesteal, Rush, and Wind Fury. And why would you add this in a deck besides the elemental thing? Well, in Wild, I remember playing a card that allows you to gain to copy Lifesteal, Rush, Wind Fury, and Divine Shield. It costs 4 mana. And if you could get that going, then that would not only help you complete the quest, but it would let you heal, it would give you an attack advantage. You could just be set, man. You know, you could just be set. Another card, like, if you want to upgrade to a better card, I would 10 out of 10 recommend Siamat. Because with Siamat you could get Rush, you could get Wind Fury, Divine Shield, Taunt, and if you combine it with the hero power, whew, you'll get everything, man. You'll get everything. Who doesn't want that? Who wouldn't want that? So, yeah, but if you don't have Siamat, Walking Fountain, great replacement, man. Great replacement. Whew. And now we have a Shutterwalk. And this is the last card I will have, because my deck can only have so many cards, and Shutterwalk is just incredible. Now, throughout the game, you should have played a ton of battle cries, or you should have played amazing battle cries, and Shutterwalk will be there to add value for those battle cries to your hand. It'll go great with Cthulhu. It'll go okay with Jades. It'll go great with Swamp Queen Hagatha, Fire Elemental. It'll go great with practically every battle cry, minion, and spell I have in this deck. The possibilities you could do are endless. And plus, imagine if you get a you could shuffle cards in your deck. You could get another Zephyrus card to your hand. Like, God, you could get so much. And if you pair it off with a minion that reduces the hero power to 0, then dude, you got it going on, man. You've got it going on. If you pair it with Thaurissan, you could return it to your... If you pair it with Thaurissan, you could get it for free. Get the hero power for free, return it to hand. You could do so much with it. The possibilities, man. You put Thaurissan with Shutterwalk and Youthful Brewmaster. You could get that going. Then you could play it again. Right on the next turn. And this especially works if you've got a if you're in wild mode and you have a minion that can make you play whose battle cry lets you do a hero power for free next turn. So think about it. Free Shutterwalk again and again and again if you play your cards right. Free Shutterwalk all the time. Free. And that's just with the one instance with Shutterwalk. You could get so creative with this. You could pair it with Grumble. You could pair it with that Undertaker. You could pair it with the Undertaker and get some major death rattles going. And get them going twice. In Wild, you could potentially have more, God, what's it called? You know, that 1111 guy? You know him. Fugan and Stalag making that 1111 guy? You know who I'm talking about. You old players, you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, so with Shutterwalk, there's just so much potential you could do. And of course, this should be long after you've completed the quest. So I don't expect you to use it to complete it. But man, after it's complete, you could do so much with it, dude. You have such amazing potential, and you need to go for it. If you got Shutterwalk to go with this deck, to go with the Corrupt the Waters quest, then you are set. And that is the end of my video. Thank you for taking so long to watch this. I appreciate it. I hope I have brought value to you on how to use Corrupt the Waters. And yeah, this is Corrupt the Waters. You can do so much with it. You could pair it with so many minions. There's so much you could do with it. It's just incredible. You could do aggro, you could do control, you could do tempo. It is just a flexible card. It is so flexible. And the only thing that is getting in the way of its potential is the limit of your imagination. That is its only limit. So please. Oh yeah, and you know, the fact that you can only have 30 cards in deck. But I digress. So if you've got Corrupt the Waters, please go make one of these decks and have a freaking blast. thank you for watching. Please subscribe and comment on this video if you have any more ideas on what cards can go with Corrupt the Waters. And I will see you in the next one. Peace. Peace. Dude, welcome back. We are back and ready for some more Hearthstone. If you want to see more like this, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it. Alright, so today, this is recording, right? Yeah. Today, we are going to be testing out a, actually no, forget that. So, welcome to the channel, and like and subscribe. And let's get into it. That's what I just said, if you didn't hear me. Nah, I should just restart this.